morning to you, Mrs. Focke-Wulf.
Top part of the morning, Mr. E. Phraisyar. Have you been at the Turkish Delight again? It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Blimey, Mrs. F. What's with all these wires and satellite dishes all over the place? Looks like GCHQ.
Can't you guess, you great donut? I've just had cable TV installed.
Bravo, Mrs. F. Here, how many channels will that give you?
97,226, if you don't count BBC Three.
Why don't you count BBC Three?
Well, would you?
I see your point. So, Mrs. Focke-Wulf, one thing about this cable TV lark is puzzling old Harmon.
Only one, dear?
With so much digital choice, how on earth do you choose what to watch?
Don't you worry your stem cells, Mr. E. Those clever digital people have it all figured out. They've given your old landlady a special device.
Not another one.
Oh, yes, it's called a randomizer.
Did you say sodomizer?
No, dear, I said randomizer.
Hey up, Harmon's seen that show on the repeats.
You're losing me, dear. What show are you talking about?
The Randomizer, with Edward Woodward. Oh, it was made yonks ago. Back in the last century, I think. You know, the Randomizer. Da-da-da, with Edward Woodward, the guy who was in Callan.
No, silly. Edward Woodward show wasn't called the Randomizer. It was called the Equalizer.
The Equalizer? I thought that was that device for making your voice go all echoey. Like you was up in the Swiss Alps, wearing bright pink lederhosen, calling out to a mad improvising lady skiing across a great glacier on her violin bows. Oi, Charlotte, mind out! There's a geezer over there who's been frozen since the last ice age!
Turn that bleeding echo off at once!
Oh, sorry, Mrs. F.
I won't abide echo, Mr. E. You ask the vicar. It brings me out in polyps.
Sorry, Mrs. F. But now I think of it, you're quite right. Edward Woodward's show was called The Equalizer.
Oh, I remember it like it was the day after yesterday. There was poor Edward, forever putting people in safe houses he was. Now, what was that catchphrase he used to use?
Catchphrase?
Let me see. What could it have been? Edward Woodward.
I got it. He used to say, on no account must you leave the safe house.
Or was it, on no account must you answer the safe house door if someone knocks at the safe house?
Or was it, whatever happens, you must never leave the safe house?
Did you know, Mr. E, that in some of those barely believable episodes, even the evildoer knew the location of the safe house?
Yeah, I mean, how safe is that?
Hello, my name is Harmon.
And this is
Phraisyar.
coming up.
Bad POIMS.
Hold up, Mrs. Focke-Wulf. Who's that fast asleep next to the cat basket?
Why, it's our new lodger. A fresh arrival in the global village to boot.
He's got a cheek sleeping there, ain't he? The cat'll have to sidestep him when she sneaks next door for a crap. Anyhows, what's his bloke's name?
Mr. Stork. Mr. Chicken Wings Stork.
Chicken Wings Stork? What is it with parents these days? Have they all gone raving mad?
Oh, I agree, Mr. E. They seem to be competing to lumber their poor kiddies with the most stupid names imaginable.
Yeah, I mean, what's wrong with a normal Hobbit name like Kathy Matthews?
Yes, or even a sensible name, like Peregrine took one look at a book, ready steady cook fellow esquire.
Dead right. So what's this chicken wings story?
Shh! Don't ever call him Chicken Wings, dear. That's just the name on his identity card. He'd have a batch of hairy kittens covered in Swarfeaker if he ever heard you call him that.
Well, what are you supposed to call him?
Malibu, dear. All his associates call him Malibu, I'll have you know.
Aha, it hasn't escaped Harmon that you use the word associates rather than friends.
That's right, Mr. E. Mr. Malibu's very well-to-do, and high-class folk don't have friends. They have associates. I read it in OK Magazine.
Well, I bet you can't wait to meet them.
Oh, I've met him already. They popped in this morning to drop off Mr. Stork's leather and PVC outfits. Ever so well-to-do they are. Cultured gents. I felt honoured just hanging up their hats and coats, I did. And I'll bet you me Cherylad wig that not a one of 'em's ever had to sign on. Ooh, they don't speak posh.
Well, that's World of Leather for you. What does he do then, our fine Mr. Malibu Stork, besides lying around the gaff like a bag of builder's sand?
He's a poet, Mr. E. Oh, can you imagine it? Living under the same roof as a poet makes one come over what's the word?
Nauseous?
No, silly. Iambically pentameter, that's the word.
Yeah, this Mr. Stork may be a poet, but what's his real job?
That is his real job, dear. He's a minor celebrity. Not a nobody like you.
Well, I've never heard of him.
I did say minor, dear. Between you, me and the stain on my duvet, he's got his own show on cable television.
What, him? Rip Van Winkle here asleep on the floor? On the telly?
Yes, on the Poetry Channel.
Poetry Channel? That must be exciting.
One day, Rose, the dear old lady who owns the cottage they all live in. One day,
Big Feet and Pretty Furs to go out and play and not come home till lunchtime.
one day,
Lovely day.
one day,
The birds were singing. Some to race along. As they passed the and as usual, and he landed.
As I was explaining, Mr. E. Phraisyar, every day, and repeated at medical intervals, Mr. Stork here hosts a poetry quiz with some bloody awful woman. She's got the dress sense of a porcelain chihuahua.
Well, this I got to see. What's this show called?
Bad Poems.
Did you say bad poems?
No, dear. I said bad poems. That's poems spelt P-O-I-M-S.
Well, can't these poetry people spell proper like?
Obviously not.
Hey, Mrs. F, Harmon's got an idea. Now that you got cable, why don't we just tune in and watch Mr. Malibu's show?
Oh, actually, dear, I was about to troll off to me yoga Lassie's class for a little relief. It's me old pelvis problem rearing its ugly head again. Put your hand here, Mr. E.
All right already, enough of the bone story. Look, I watched Malibu's show on me Todd. What channel's he on?
Oh, I ain't got a flipping clue. But don't worry, Mr. E, the randomiser can find it for you in seconds.
Mrs. F, with over 90,000 channels to choose from, we'll be here 9.5 weeks waiting for the right one to randomly appear.
Really? Have you no faith in cosmic synchronicity?
Well, not that I tell anyone else.
and the smell of incense filled her room.
So how does it work, this randomiser?
Pass it over here, dear, and I'll show you.
Where is it?
Over by the TV.
Oh, well, I suppose Harmon will have to go and get it.
I can't see it, Mrs. Fokker-Wolf.
There, by the ripped-up copy of Hello magazine.
But there's over 100 remote controls lying around. Which one is it?
Well, choose the first one you put your hand to.
Oh, fancy that, Mrs. F. Right first time. There you go.
Ta.
How did you know I picked the right one out?
Well, dear, according to the nice young boffin from the cable company, the randomizer is a device that works by absorbing the microparticles of your desire and multiplying them 63.76 trillion times over. Once the simulation is complete, it directs a tightly focused beam at your television set, causing it to switch over to the desired channel. Stand well back, Mr. E, while your old landlady demonstrates.
Micro what?
Oh, I can feel those waves of cosmic synchronicity surging up through me surgical stockings. Ooh, the vibrations! The mellifluous serendipitous vibrations. It's working, Mr. E. It's working.
Blair's Puff, you look like you're having one of them condor moments.
Condor.
Quickly, Mr. E, before I slither from the grip of the cosmic hand, turn on the TV.
The TV? I'd completely forgot.
Hi, and welcome back to the Poetry Channel. Coming up, another chance to see today's edition of the Poetry Quiz. Bad Poems.
Blimey, you was right, Mrs. Fokker-Wolf. Would you Adam and Eve it? Bad Poems is on next.
Oh, ye of little or not much faith.
But first, for all of you who've emailed or texted in, another chance to see Michael Winner dressed as a fairy in his award-winning car insurance ad.
Anyway, moving on. Anyway, moving on.
Howdy doody! And once again, you are tuned into television's top-rated quiz show. Put your hands together for Bad Poems.
Welcome.
Hi, I'm Malibu Storm.
And I'm Alberta Ross.
And we're your hosts
for today's edition of
the world's best loved poetry quiz.
What else but Bad Poems?
Bad poems indeed, Alberta.
Yes, Malibu. And if you tuned in for the very first time,
let us explain the simple rules of
Bad Poems.
If you aren't yet familiar,
the rules of Bad Poems are quite simple. We ask a succession
of bad poets to take their place on the verbal roster,
to stand on the verbal roster and deliver their worst ever poem. Isn't that right, Malibu?
It most certainly is, Alberta. And afterwards, Alberta here will offer up her most learned analysis of the poem.
After which you, our lovely audience,
Our most lovely audience
will be invited to vote by means of the clap counter.
Yes, the clap counter. Unique to bad poems, this incredible machine translates your applause into a score from 1 to 5.
Anything less than a 5 and we'll spring the hidden trapdoor.
Dumping the unlucky poet straight into a tank filled with pus, sick and sewage.
And a few things we can't mention on cable television. However, any poet who meets the Bad Poem Challenge and scores a verb-tingling 5 on the clap counter
goes straight through to the next round of
Bad Poems, the world's best love poetry quiz. And so, with no further ado,
let's bring on our first contestant. What can you tell us about them, Alberta?
Well, Malibu, not a lot.
And none of it interesting.
Doug Wimbrel is a dental technician from the Wirral. He's unmarried, but that comes as no surprise.
And what's Doug going to be reading for us today?
Get this, Malibu. The chump's going to read us a poem entitled African Man.
African Man? Doug, we really want to hear it.
African man, colonial man. African man, you brought the gift of fire. You even taught us to buy the latest issue of The Wire magazine. African man, you gave us the farm so we could grow lots of cabbages and come to no harm. But along came colonial man in his trousers and pith. When he saw your African gleaming spires of mud, he didn't like it a bit. So colonial man had you locked in chains and wired your babies and toothless grannies directly into the mines. Just as triangular honey is made by triangular bees, so colonial man set up triangular slave trade, his bank balance to please. African man, someday you'll be free from the crippling cycle of debt that forces you to your knees.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was Doug Wimbrel with African Man. But before we take your vote,
which will register automatically on the clap counter behind us,
let's find out the opinion of our resident poems expert, Alberta Russ.
Well, Malibu, one might ask how an elegiac poem on the absurdity of colonialism could end with these grotesque little items.
In a word, Alberta.
In a word, rubbish.
Okay, now it's the turn
of our lovely audience
to have their say.
3, 2, 1, clap!
Oh, dearie dear.
Looks like Dougie's in the shit. And a big bad poem hi to all you lovely, lovely viewers
watching at home right now.
Who's up next, Malibu?
Funny you should say that, Alberta. It's a poet called Walter Pippet from London's very old East End.
Stone the crows, governor! Step off me trousers! And what's Walter going to recite for us?
Walter's going to recite his very own worst poem entitled Chinwag.
Take it away, Walter.
Chinwag. I gas a lot, it's true. The word oiled, launched, minus the champagne, a bottle of cheap alco pop perhaps, launched onto an uncertain sea of misunderstandings. Each error a folding wave, a word wave adding to the confusion. My mind a bunion on the foot of the word, the gilded root of the word with holes in the souls of its hush puppies. I yap a great deal, say my bosom pals. Shut it, you muppet, is often shouted at me across the bar as I knock over some 6-foot psycho's baby sham. Outside, or you buy me another drink now, squeals the psycho. No trouble, mate, I yap, talking 10 to his 9, filling his brick wall ears while he flails within his mind, chained by my words. Bit like Edgar Allan Poe's geezer in the cask of Amontillado.
Okay, that was Walter from the East End. Charming fellow. But before we take your vote...
And remember, members of our lovely audience, it's your vote that counts.
Before we take your vote, let's hear from our resident expert, Miss Alberta Russ.
Among the chief resources of bad poems are the devices we call metaphor and simile. Simile is simpler to perceive and understand. Metaphor's more rugged and salacious. It's obvious that Walter here, working class idiot that he is, hasn't the slightest grasp of either.
Thank you, Alberta. And now we invite our lovely, lovely audience to put their hands together and...
3, 2, 1, vote!
Oh, woe is me. Hardly a ripple.
Walter, honey, you is going down.
Our next contestant has come all the way...
All of the way?
All the way from the US of A. What's the little lady's name, Alberta?
Well, Malibu, the little lady goes by the fine old Dixie name of Carmen Buzzard.
Carmen Buzzard. Why, that is a mighty fine Confederate name.
Very jaunty.
What was that, Alberta?
I said very jaunty.
I see. And what's Carmen going to perform for us today?
Her very own self-penned world's worst poem, and it's called Cast Out.
Carmen, the tank is below you.
And a glorious future lies ahead of you.
It all depends
on the badness of your poem.
Carmen Buzzard from West Virginia, take it away.
The roving gods took us out, just the once. We were surprised by their knowledge of our systems. Our visual cortex they filled to overflowing. Our auditory nerves they packed with a sound that almost burst our hearts. Gently sent ecstasy racing across our skin. Now limited by pools of sadness and set upon by the snares of repetition, we seek some intimation of paradise. Just a hint of something more.
Well, everybody, that was deep. But who are better to unravel the hidden codes of the odes than our very own Miss Alberta Ross?
A stirring image or broad sweeping idea may recur in a poem or play so as to become the dominant imagery. In Bill Shakespeare's Hamlet, we have images of weeds and walkie-talkies, torture and telephony in King Lear, of blood and hands-free sets in Macbeth. In Carmen's poem, I'm afraid I see nothing at all. Just pointless words strung together like clothes pegs on an empty washing line.
Okay, the expert hath spoken, but let's see what the audience thinks.
3, 2, 1, go!
Oh dear, Carmen. For you today on Bad Points, the only way is down.
Watch out for the sticky excretia, Carmen. Poor Carmen won't be invited to any flower shows for a while.
That's right, Alberta. A rose by any other name.
That rose art plucked, Malibu.
And so, moving right along, who's the next oral gladiator who dares to take the Bad Poem Challenge?
Our next challenger is a mellow fellow with a bit of an axe to grind.
Bit of an axe, eh? Watch out, world. And what name does he go under?
He goes by the name of Terry Creeper.
Terry Creeper. And what a noble appellation that is. And has Terry's bad poem got a name, Alberta?
It most certainly has, Malibu. Terry's poem is called Oppressor.
Terry, for the chance to take your place in the next exciting round of bad poems, Terry, take it away!
Oppressor. Look here, Mr. Oppressor, I don't need the pressure. I like to take my leisure, and like a lady with a tape measure, I don't need no confessor, either. I can see through your beardy disguise, staring at me with cold piggy eyes, watching me like I'm part of a swarm. I don't care for your uniform. I'd rather put my hand on George Bush's karma. So there. Look here, Mrs. Fascist Instructor, just 'cause I'm unemployed, don't make me a sucker. I don't need your list of job-seeking instructions. If I followed them, I know they'd just lead to ructions. I'd end up stacking shelves in a do-it-all branch. I'd be headed for a mighty fall, fat chance. And I don't fancy that much.
Let's place you right away into the expert hands of our bad poems specialist, Miss Alberta Ross.
At last, consistency of impression has been reached. But at what cost?
There you have it, folks. One of the world's leading authorities on the art of the bad poem has spoken. But more importantly, what do you, the audience, make of it all?
The clap counter is waiting to take your verdict. 3, 2, 1, vote!
Oh dear. Terry's for the drop.
Goodbye, Terry. thanks for the memory. Who have you got waiting in the wings, Malibu?
Have I got a doozy for you, Alberta? His name is Woodward Warbler.
And where does he hail from?
Not from these parts.
And what's not from these parts gonna perform for us today?
An enchanting poem known as Spring.
Boing, boing, woodland warbler, bring it on.
Spring, 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 little frogs, little toads, ice is melting, gently melting. Newts gambol and horses roll in straw beds with their big horse heads. Spring, spring, hungry goats, eager goats with a bag of porridge oats, by the fence gaily nibbling, beardy chins all a-quivering, goaty chins. Spring, spring, buzzing bumbles, leaping ticks, all of a tumble round about the noise of gnats, and the dart of busy sprats, licking lips, the whiskered cat, the village cat.
Miss Alberta Ross, start your analysis, please.
Poems are made by people. And if people cannot undertake to comprehend their making, then poems are smaller, not greater, weaker, not stronger. That sucked.
The oracle has spoken.
But what do you, our lovely, lovely audience, aren't they a lovely audience, Malibu?
You betcha, Alberta. One hell of a lovely audience.
Let's hear what they think of Woodward Warbler and his stinker of a poem, Spring.
Oops, so much for spring, that most fitting of the seasons.
Happy travels, Woodward. Well, Malibu, that just about brings us to our last contestant of the night.
I understand she's a poet of some experience.
We've dunked her in the shit many a time.
She must like it in that tank, Alberta. Care to tell everyone her name?
Ladies and gerbils, welcome back for the umpteenth time on Bad Poems, Miss Naggy Michaels.
What's Naggy gonna read for us today?
It's a poem called Skriddlinum Popodoopy Wombo Toxie.
That's one hell of a mouthful, Alberta.
You're telling me, Malibu. Naggy, the verbal roster is yours to ascend. Tap top nipple boo boo, skriddle pee pee pee, woo woo, wee little beastie, fetchy blotch, meloo, pop, screw, fed up, ma 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 ma, group, get a little fiddly pop pop, gree, filulu, snibble, dangle 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 dangle, ow, snibble poodle little low, whoopinidums, gree, ooh, och, hi the new, hoopaloo, blue, 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 the greely pop pop, bimbaloo, bimbaloo, bombala, oh, fra, ticking, gloppa, gloppa.
Hair-raising stuff. Alberta, let's get analysing.
I think we can all agree that poetry is both a trap and a cage in which a heaven and an earth we all can recognise is somehow caught. A mother's agony, the joy of a small boy on his bicycle, a herd of bovine footballers reaping the meadow sweet. Naggy has captured the very essence of what it is to be alive.
It just remains for you, our lovely audience, to render your clapophonic verdict.
3, 2, 1, bingo! She scored a 5!
She certainly has. Well done, Naggy.
And that marvellous score takes Naggy straight through to our next round.
Naggy Michaels, step this way.
Say something to this lovely audience, Naggy.
Dead babies.